Hello and welcome to our reflection for Wednesday. Paul is writing to Timothy, who is in Ephesus. Ephesus was a bubbling melting point of popular religions at this time. Therefore it was important that all those involved in the new Church of Jesus Christ were watchful and all should be above reproach. The reading comes from 1 Timothy chapter 3. The saying is sure, whoever aspires to the office of bishop desires a noble task. Now a bishop must be above reproach, married only once, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an apt teacher, not a drunkard, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, and not a lover of money. He must manage his own household well, keeping his children submissive and respectful in every way. For if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may be puffed up with conceit and fall into the condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must be well thought of by outsiders, so that he may not fall into disgrace and the snare of the devil. Deacons likewise must be serious, not double-tongued, not indulging in much wine, not greedy for money. They must hold fast to the mystery of the faith with a clear conscience, and let them first be tested. Then if they prove themselves blameless, let them serve as deacons. Women likewise must be serious, not slanderers, but temperate, faithful in all things. Let deacons be married only once, and let them manage their children and their households well. For those who serve well as deacons gain a good standing for themselves, and great boldness in the faith that is in Christ Jesus. I hope to come to you soon, but I am writing these instructions to you so that, if I am delayed, you may know how one ought to behave in the household of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and bulwark of the truth. Without any doubt, the mystery of our religion is great. He was revealed in flesh, vindicated in spirit, seen by angels, proclaimed among Gentiles, believed in throughout the world, taken up in glory. This is the word of the Lord. The first part of the reading about bishops and deacons almost looks like the person spec for a job with very high standards. When I first read this passage, I thought of the very high standards, and would anyone be good enough to live up to them? Then I started to think about the context of the time. Let us think about the role of a bishop or a deacon in Timothy's world. A bishop was church leader. It's only later that a bishop came to mean the leader of several churches. And deacons, what about them? The word deacon means servant. Of course, all Christians are called to serve. Therefore, we are all deacons. However, it is probable in this context that deacons were appointed to organise and administer the practical details of living within the renewed people of God. Deacons were still responsible for teaching in the church, as was everyone else. Stephen was a deacon, outspoken in his teaching, so much so that he became the first Christian martyr. This chapter is really about how these new church leaders behaved. They were expected to maintain a certain standard. There were certain characteristics that they should have before they could be appointed. It's the same today, really. We expect certain behaviour from people in the public eye, whether it's church leaders, politicians, or anyone who should lead by example. People in the public eye are subjected to scrutiny, especially by the media and others, who expect high standards that they themselves would struggle to achieve. We are all human and all make mistakes and bad decisions. Forgiveness is an important part of Christianity and is available for us all. However, that doesn't give anyone the license to behave as they wish and then ask forgiveness and expect all the sins to be washed away time and time and time again. There are some who think it's okay to receive forgiveness on Sunday and then behave as they wish all week because they can ask for forgiveness again. Although we can all ask for forgiveness many, many times, the expectation is that we mean it. Let's have a look at some of the conditions applied to bishops and deacons. Both bishops and deacons should only have one wife. This doesn't mean that they are tied to being on their own if their wife or husband dies. They can marry again, but can't have more than one wife at any one time. Polygamy was still quite common during Paul's time, but this is not allowed in this Church of Jesus Christ. Heavy drinking was not allowed. It was common during these times to drink wine instead of water because wine was cheap and water was often contaminated. Wine was the safer option and was drunk generally in society, but shouldn't be drunk to excess. Excess alcohol can cause the drinker to make rash decisions and behave recklessly. And then, of course, there is always money, which has become the downfall of many people. Having money is a source of power which becomes overwhelming and becomes the most important thing in life. Money can then be used to influence and corrupt others, to make them do things that are wrong. All these seem very reasonable things to be careful of. In fact, how many times have people been brought down by sex, alcohol, or money? Paul, writing to Timothy in Ephesus, expected him and the Ephesians to keep a good path that was following the way of Jesus Christ. As Christians today, we have to be careful when setting these high standards for ourselves, that we don't think we are better than others. It can be very easy to slip into bad habits by judging people who we think are not behaving as we think they should. How many times over the recent days have we heard people judging others because they are really struggling to pay their bills or feed their family? Many have had their hours reduced or have no job because of furlough. Now the amount received on furlough has been reduced. Many people are going to need some extra help. Please don't judge, as unless you walk in someone else's shoes, you really don't know what they're going through. We thank all those who have stepped up to the mark and are providing lunches for children that may otherwise go hungry. We should expect certain standards from our church leaders in church, politics and other influential roles, but we must also remember that these people are only human and are going to make mistakes, which doesn't give us the right to gloat over their downfall. We need to show compassion, kindness and forgiveness to everyone we meet, whatever their circumstances. Amen.